Oh, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with your Sensei Bob. That's me. I'm him. We're out here to tell you a story. I went and put my last video into public. Whenever I do it on this little guy, it puts it private. Sometimes I can make it public, but I can always make it public when I go back. Once it's up there, right? Anyway, so this is just an early good morning, and I'm in a bunker in an undisclosed place, and having my morning coffee. Undisclosed coffee. So there are all these things going on. And I was talking to a friend last night, and I said, it's the same as it ever was. There's no difference. A small group of people who have power on their minds kill millions of people every day, right? Whether it's the crap they put in your food, that's going to kill you in a few decades or years, or the air you're breathing, or the water you're drinking. And, you read that document from the Heritage Foundation 2025. They want to get rid of the whole government, right? So no more EPA, no more NOAA, so we won't have any, weather. We won't know when the weather's coming, and the EPA. So they put really toxic stuff on trains, and every day one of them blows up in the United States. Well, America's a big place, big deal. Yeah, maybe 1,500 people died there in the most despicably hard, disgusting way. But hey, that's only 1,200 people out of how many million are in America? 300 something million. It's no big deal, and really doesn't. There are a lot of toilets to be cleaned, so some illegals get in. Big deal. They pay their taxes and they get nothing for it. And soon we're going to start building our own Gaza Strip along the southern border of Mexico, which is really part of the United States, so it's no big deal. And we'll start, we're going to bring home manufacturing with slaves. It's going to be just like America was back in the day. It's going to be a good morning in America. Here's your coffee. Non-disclosed. Anyway, so the deal is, we don't have to have this. Every community you live in is a microcosm of what's going on in the world. There are that few people that rule your community, make books. You can't read Catching the Rye anymore. You can't read any of Mark Twain's work. You can't read David Copperfield. You can't read, all you can read is Mein Kampf and, Fountainhead and a few other books. So, since it ever was, but it's up to you. Because what's going on, there's a thing called karma and dharma. And we're experiencing it right now. The chickens are coming home to roost. So, But, you don't want to watch the TV of all the stuff that's going on in the Gaza Strip. Because somewhere back there in your reptile mind, that all those bombs killing all those children, come from Ohio and from LA and upstate New York and New Jersey, and all those small diameter bombs, that just chew people up like hamburgers. That school that got hit the other day, the bodies they found, they were like in pieces. They had to give the loved ones big plastic bags full of, government cheese, basically. So, hey. Good morning, America. So, this is going to be a short one. So, anybody who wants to say anything, come on. This is a live chat. I will probably do some more of this later today because most of you guys don't really want to. They just want to be there. So, how about some thumbs up? Let's have some thumbs up, some comments later on. put something in the comment thing. Anybody wants to get a hold of me, Badudoy42 Gmail. Let's see. I haven't really heard from anybody. One or two people I get. That's about it. Mad Men.
Phenomenal show. Through the lens of this glamorous bygone era of advertising, we follow these characters who find themselves living through a decade of some of the most pivotal changes in American history. The show mostly follows Donald Draper, creative director at the fictional Sterling Cooper advertising agency on Madison Avenue in New York City, along with a large ensemble of characters who work alongside him. Mad Men is full of memorable scenes. The whole show is a masterclass in writing, direction, and storytelling. But today I want to focus on one scene in particular, a scene that I think is practically perfect. The scene takes place roughly 15 minutes into the season 3 finale, titled Shut the Door, Have a Seat. The episode title is in reference to the series of life-altering conversations that occur throughout, from Dawn's conversation with Nick join the new firm, to Dawn and Betty's conversation with their children as they break the news about their divorce.
What did we do? Nothing. Then why are we in the living room?
Going into this third season, Sterling Cooper had just been bought by a British agency called Putnam Powell and Lowe, looking to expand their influence into the U.S., and things have not exactly gone smoothly.
Mr. Sterling's not on that chart at all. It's true. Oh, well, that was an oversight.
But in episode 313, the season's penultimate episode, everything suddenly changes. In the first scene of the episode, Dawn attends what he thinks is a routine meeting with a client and is told that PPL, and thus Sterling Cooper with it, is being sold to a much larger advertising agency, McCann Erickson. Dawn knows that if this deal goes through, Sterling Cooper will get swallowed up and become part of McCann, rather than remaining an independently operated subsidiary like they had under PPL. And after rejecting a job offer from them 2 seasons ago, the last thing Dawn wants is to give up all of his creative control and become a mid-level cog at McCann.
Sausage factory. I turned them down 3 years ago.
So Don takes this information to his boss, Bert Cooper, who insists that he'll need to bring in the other half of Sterling Cooper, Roger Sterling, because of his relationship with the firm's biggest client, American Tobacco. After some convincing, the three decide to partner up and offer to buy back their company from PPL instead of being sold to McCann.
So you do want to be in advertising after all?
So Don, Roger, and Bert meet with their overseer, Lane Price, to make an offer.
We want to buy back the company. We're willing to offer the purchase price plus 12%. It's worth more than that now.
And they're rejected. Lane is under the impression that only Sterling Cooper is being sold, and that his place will remain at PPL.
But your information isn't completely correct. Only Sterling Cooper is being sold. PPL, well, will remain PPL.
But when he later calls home to his superiors in London to tell them that the others have learned of the sale, he's informed that PPL is indeed being sold as well.
Well, where's my place in this?
With McCann, I suppose. There, Lane. They know you're essential to the transition.
And then what?
And thus he too will be absorbed into McCann. And this is what leads us to the scene in question.
Your guests have arrived?
Close the door, have a seat.
In this scene, we've got 4 main players. First, there's Don, who desperately wants not to go to McCann, but is stuck in a contract with a non-compete. Part of this comes from his general tendency to run from his problems in his past, as to not get caught in the lie that is his entire identity, but also partially from his desire to stay in creative and personal control. Then there's Roger, who's newly married to his second wife and is much less desperate to avoid McCann. He has a much shorter contract than Don and is mostly just happy retiring when it expires.
They've only got me for a year. You for what, 3? We'll make another run at it.
Then we have Bert Cooper, the company's founder and oldest living partner, who, because of his age, is also on the verge of retirement. He's not very happy with the way his life's work has been run under PPL, and he has good reason to want it freed from the control of a parent company. And lastly, there's Lane Price, who, after he is initially almost smug in his rejection of their offer, suddenly finds out that he's basically in the same predicament as the others. And so the scene plays out in 2 parts. Part 1 is the fight, as Don's desperation ramps up into anger until it gives way to an idea, and Part 2 is the conspiracy, as the partners realize this idea can work and make a plan to see it through. Let's start at the top with Part 1.
Close the door, have a seat.
What's he doing here?
You gonna read us your will? I want the Cadillac.
Right off the bat, there's some confusion as to why we're here. Bert asks why Lane is there because he doesn't share in their interests, and Roger asks if they're there to hear Don's will, implying Don would rather off himself than go to McCann. He also makes a little subtle callback to Don's Cadillac Coupe de Ville, the one he bought last season on Roger's recommendation.
I couldn't sleep. And I thought, why don't we go to McCann directly?
There's a few reasons why Don's having trouble sleeping. On top of all the uncertainty at work, his marriage is falling apart and he's sleeping in the guest room, which has a trickle-down effect to his children and gets him thinking about his own father. We'll get back to this later.
Because you can't. It's done.
You're not even going to ask.
I did yesterday. And you were right. PPL is being sold. So it seems we're all going to McCann.
They catch you loose.
Roger gets a brief moment to be smug towards Lane after Lane so smugly rejected their offer earlier, and Lane confirms what we already knew. PPL and Sterling Cooper have both been sold.
I want you to find out what the price was and give us a shot.
Enough! Should fire you for even trying to involve me in this conspiracy.
Lane is done hearing Don's suggestions. He's made it quite clear that there's nothing he can do to stop this deal, and he even turns towards the door to leave, but then stops short.
Go ahead. It's the only thing you did well here.
This is in reference to all the staffing cuts that Lane carried out on behalf of PPL when they first bought Sterling Cooper.
John, let it go.
Bert tries to de-escalate things, but Lane snaps back.
I did a great many things here.
And he did. As CFO, his job is to keep the company profitable, and considering they're up 12% over just a short period of time, he must be doing his job well.
Have another. It's 9:30 for God's sake.
Roger makes a small comment on Don's drinking fueling this unearned anger. Alcoholism is a theme that pops up many times on this show.
Jesus, that's right. You have absolute authority to fire anyone. Fire us.
This right here is Don at his very best, when desperation forces him to come up with a creative solution to get himself out of a pickle. It mirrors the Lucky Strike pitch back in the show's pilot episode, when Don is backed into a corner and has nothing to show, and then suddenly someone says something that makes a light bulb go off
At
in his
least we
head.
know if we have this problem, everybody has this problem.
Gentlemen, before you leave, can I just say something? We have 6 identical companies making 6 identical products. We can say anything we want.
And it ends up winning him the pitch. Just the same as in this scene, Don's light bulb moment is triggered by Lane's suggestion that he fire them, because he can. As Don says, fire them, let them go, and sever their contracts.
Fire us.
Lane's eyes dart around the room as he tries to figure out what to make of all this. His expression is hard to pin down. He's both surprised and also scoffing at the audacity of this idea. A moment of brilliant acting by Jared Harris.
Fire us. Sever our contracts. Let us go.
Bert gives just a hint of a smile, a small but significant indication that he knows exactly what's happening.
Can you do that?
Why would I?
Because once this sale goes through, you'll be thrown overboard and you'll be a corpse knocking against their hull.
Of course, Lane already knows this. From as soon as he found out about PPL's sale, he knew he'd be obsolete as soon as the transition was complete. Unlike many of the other characters on Mad Men, Lane is an immigrant to New York. He's just moved his family out there, and he's not ready to leave so soon. But in case he needs another reason,
Nothing good ever came from seeking revenge. Nonsense. We'll make you a partner.
Lane realizes he holds all of the power here, as the only one who can fire them.
I should think this is worth more than that.
And Don realizes this too.
So we're negotiating. We'll put your name on the door.
I don't know.
Do you know how to do what he does?
I don't.
And Roger doesn't either. They need Lane, not just to fire them, but to help them run this potential new company.
It could be done.
The scene shifts. Part 2. The partners go from standing in disarray around the room to orderly sitting 2 by 2 across from one another. They go from tense, standing disagreements to calm, relaxed collusion.
But getting you, us, out of here isn't the difficult part. We need accounts.
Let's say we have Lucky Strike.
And although that's, let's see, $23 million in billings,
24.
we'd still need another third for cash flow.
This gives our characters a clearly defined goal. They need to secure $12 million worth of business.
Well, I can't take anyone else. Or Lee Garner Sr. won't think that he's special. What about Hilton?
Here they're talking about Conrad Hilton, the head of Hilton Hotels, who was the client who tipped Don off to PPL's sale at the beginning of the episode. He's also partially the reason Don is stuck in this mess, as it was on his request that Don be signed to a 3-year contract.
What about Hilton?
No.
Don's one-word answer here is enough to give us an idea of how he felt about Hilton, who was a particularly difficult client, and not one that he's willing to bring along.
Well, can we get any of our other accounts?
We'll get them.
If I were to send a telex in at noon today that you've all been sacked, it's after close of business in London. It would remain unnoticed until Monday morning there, 2 a.m. here. That gives us today and the weekend to first gather accounts and then a skeleton staff to service them.
So, this convenient difference in time zones and the fact that it happens to be a Friday allows them to get away with poaching these accounts completely unnoticed by their bosses across the pond. This also establishes a clear timeline for our characters. They have less than 72 hours to secure $12 million worth of business. But that's not all.
And of course, we would have to obtain all the materials required for continuity of service.
Shame. We have to steal everything.
And lastly, they establish the stakes.
Anyone approached must be a certainty. If news spreads, they'll lock us out.
Do we vote or something?
And then, with the decision made,
Well, gentlemen, I suppose you're fired.
Well, it's official. Friday, December 13th, 1963. 4 guys shot their own legs off.
and then finally, with the plan in place, execution.
Allison, Mr. Price has requested an office-wide memo. The office is closed.
The rest of the episode sees these 4 partners going out and doing their part to put this plan in action. Bert brings in Harry Crane to run the media department, Roger brings in Joan and helps Don to get Pete to join with his accounts, Don brings in Peggy for creative, and Lane does his part by letting London know of the firing and allowing this whole scenario to take place. And by the end of the episode, they have a new company.
Good morning. Sterling Cooper Draper Price, how may I help you?
What makes all of this so thrilling is that while it is mostly just office drama, the episode structure mirrors that of a heist movie. We have characters forming an unlikely alliance, concocting a plan, and establishing what's at stake if things go wrong, and then they pull it off, breaking in, stealing the materials, and making off before anyone can realize what's happening. And this one perfect scene is the moment where this heist is set into motion. It's the turning point of the episode, and according to showrunner Matt Weiner, the turning point of the whole show. Episode 312, the one prior to this one, is about the assassination of John F. Kennedy, and the episode after, the season 4 premiere, picks up with the new firm moved into their new mid-century modern offices in the Time Life building. All of season 3, there's a sense of not knowing who's in charge, and the JFK assassination brings this sentiment to the forefront, hence that episode's title, The Grown-Ups.
What the hell is going on?
The whole nation has just been rocked by the death of their collective father figure, just like how Don in the next episode recalls the death of his own father. Throughout episode 313, there's these scenes weaved in about how Don's father broke away from his farming collective when grain prices collapsed. In a drunken stupor, he tries to ride into town in the middle of the night to sell his grain and is killed after being kicked in the head by his horse. And this is exactly what keeps Don up the night before he calls this meeting.
I couldn't sleep. And I thought, why don't we go to
Unlike his father, who pushed away his allies after being backed into a corner, Don comes to realize he must put aside his ego and embrace the strengths of the people around him in order for this plan to succeed.
With you or without you, I'm moving on. And I don't know if I can do it alone. Will you help me?
You know, Mad Men is my favorite show of all time, and this scene perfectly exemplifies what I love so much about it, and what keeps bringing me back to the show time and time again. Despite being only 3.25 minutes long, this scene brings together 4 characters with distinct individual motivations and drives forward the story in lasting and significant ways. It's this.
And that's where we are, at this moment, in the office, and we're discussing, are we going to get fired? What's going to happen to America, our big company? Because that's what it is. We're part of the tobacco industry, or the car industry, or the high-tech industry, or farming industry, or whatever, right? And we're all about to get fired or thrown under the bus. So we turned into dog food, kind of like dead horses. Our toenails were used to be made into glue. So, are you ready for that? Or do you want something else? That something else is every morning you wake up, you think of God's unconditional love, and you say, "Thank you for this day." That's what I do every morning. Because every night I go to sleep, I don't really expect to wake up. I am, you know, everything has a cost, So in 2006, I basically, had been, the itinerant scholar for a good 20 years and exposed to a lot of information that most people don't have a clue about. And I didn't expect the human race or the planet to survive more than 20 seconds from now. And we're still in that position, but we're still here. Some 20 something years later. But there was a 10-year period, so I thought, this is the end of things. So I'm just kind of good time. So I had constantly been offered to start my, well, I already had my own consulting business, but to make a more harsher turn from my pleasure of being an itinerant scholar, working for people like Brooks and CFR and Rockwell Foundation, guys like that, and other companies too. I wanted a demographic look outside the box of what would their business and situation going on. Because all they actually had was yes men. Me, I'm a guy. I never say yes to anybody except the good-looking lady. And so, when the lawyers, when I was at this New Year's Eve party and I got rid of all my puppies for $500 a puppy, and there was this one dejected, rich lawyer who was sitting on the couch, and nothing could, I came in, "You want a puppy?" I said, "Oh, and he, it's like drinking his cocktail, kind of like Don Draper, but not as creative. And I sat down, even though he told me to get lost. I said, "I think I can help you." "What are you talking about? You don't know what's going on." Just, this guy was thinking about offering himself. I said, "No." And then I, without him telling me anything, I know who he is. He's a lawyer. He's, I'm at my friend's New Year's Eve party, and my friend invites me there to read people's palms and be the entertainment. And I bought a, basket full of beautiful little puppies. Right? Went to him, "I love a puppy. How much is a puppy?" I said, "Open up your wallet." Right? He opens up his wallet, and he had 5 Benjamins. And I said, "Here, you pick your puppy." And then another girl, I want that puppy. I want that puppy. I said, "Open up your wallet." "Oh, you got 9 Benjamins." So I walked out of that Christmas party for almost $6,000, Because as there were getting to be fewer and fewer puppies, I showed up there with 6 puppies. The first guy who thought he paid too much, 500, he got it the cheapest, The last one went for 1,000. So I wasn't drunk. I was feeling, I'm walking out of here with $6,000, and my buddy had already slipped me $300 just to be there to entertain his rich clients. And then he said, "Go talk to that guy, so he didn't even want a puppy." So anyway, I sat down with him and I'm playing with the puppy, and I go, "Listen, I can help you." "No, you can't help me." "No one can help me." I said, "Oh yeah." And then I proceeded to tell, because my friend told me everything about the guy, I said, "Hold up your hand." And I just, "Oh, you got this in your eye, blah, blah, blah." I gave him the usual shtick. And then I said, "And this is your problem." I told him exactly what my friend had told me, that he had basically taken a lot of money from a larger client off the books and promised he'd be able to fix the problem, which, after 5 months, wasn't any closer to fixing the problem. He had to get it done in less than a month. Otherwise, he was going to have to, A, kick back the $600,000 that he had got up front. B, he was going to lose the $4 million he was promised. And C, he hadn't done any other work, so he had nothing on the book. So he's going to get fired. He's not going to have a 6-figure job anymore, and he's going to be out about $2 million. Well, if you count the 3 that it was, he's out about $5 million, which he definitely right? So he's going to jail, right? Loses his beautiful wife, beautiful house, big boat, be in jail, and his roommate is Bubba, who wants to pork him. So he knows all this, and that's why he wants to offer himself. And I said, I can take care of this. He said, no, you can't. I said, no, I can't. He said, open up your wallet. And he opens it up, and he has $1,000, and I pull it out, and I hand him a puppy. And I said, okay, that was my retainer. And you got a puppy. Everybody else paid. You're not only just getting a puppy, and this puppy is now your friend. Don't give it to your kids. This is your puppy. This puppy is going to keep you from offing yourself because no one's going to take care of him except you. And you totally treated your kids like shit because they're not yours. They're looking woman who doesn't sleep with you anymore. That's her kids, and you're putting them through prep school. And I can take care of all of this. Take care of the puppy. You just have to take care of the puppy. So it's the next show. It's going to be fun. You just need to take care of the puppy, right? So I proceed, I said, so Monday I'm going to show up to the office. So I want your best legal aid, right? So I'll go there, and he brings in, he says, this is going to be your office for the next 3 weeks. I said, oh, that's very nice. Window thing, nice, everything's nice. Couch, bar, very nice. And so he comes in and goes, this is your secretary, right? And Madge, how you doing? And then he brings in all the legal aides. It's 3 women who were way sharper than all the other lawyers that I walked in. And I walked in there with my 2 dogs, looking like a homeless guy, into this really fancy place, glass doors everywhere. And I walk in, and the guy, he's got his puppy. He's petting the puppy, and the puppy looks up because there's mommy and Uncle Homer, and so I walk in, and it's like we're walking in like Moby, his music. It's like we got earbuds and we're listening to Moby with our knives in our belt pockets, right? So we walk in, and everyone's looking at it. No one's been told that this guy, me, is showing up, and I kind of walk in. I walk straight down that hallway, past everyone's office, and the boss is at the end of the hallway. He sees me. As soon as I walk through that glass door, he sees me. And I was right on time, and I'm walking through it. Everyone's like this. Right? So he's already talked to 3 legal aides and to the girl who's going to be my secretary. And he kicked one guy out of his office, right? You're fired, get out. And I walk in, I sit down and talk to him. He says, no. So we're going. And this is your new boss. And ladies, you're going to be working with him. And so I put them all in the room, close the door, right? And the boss ain't even in there. And I said, so you have been informed, right? And ladies, do you have all the data? Do you have all the boxes, all the notes, all the everything, depositions? And they go, yep. This group of people who have been part of an investment bank. And they started off really rich to begin with. And then their bank really did great. And they were going to be bought out. Just like that scene of Mad Men, and they were all fighting, right? And they all knew each other for a long time, and they all hated each other. And with 3 of the guys, there was 8 people. And 3 of them weren't going to just said no, right? Because they wanted to stick it to everybody else. They didn't need the money, and the other guys did. And so they were holding out so they could get a lot more, right? So these guys all went to, everyone sued each other, and the judge told this lawyer, you work it out, right? So that's what's it. So he worked out a contract with the company to make this much money, and they gave him X amount of money up front, and he hadn't gotten anything. Because he iterated what he would have to do if he couldn't take care of this in the next 30 days. So desperate, he goes, I meet him that weekend at New Year's, and here it is, the New Year, and I walk in, and the girls were like excited. I said, you're in charge, I'm just a negotiator. you guys have to nail out a deal legally, right? So they did. They went to work, right? So first 3 days we had a plan. And so the one girl who was kind of a lawyer, she could go into court and ask the judge about things, right? That was she had that authority, she had that gravitas, she had that education, all that, right? So she goes in and says, this is what we want to do. We want to bring these people and negotiate because everything else has failed. So we want face-to-face negotiation. And we need you to give an order to those 8 people that they have to show up every day at 9:30 at the office and negotiate, right? Until this time. And, we got 28 days to do this, right? And the judge goes, okay, that makes sense. This is the judge been doing this thing for the last year, so he goes, okay, this is the last ditch effort. I'm for it. You folks, your office is now totally authorized by the judge. I'm giving your office, right, and all of your officers, which I was made one, to go at it, right, negotiate, right. So I was officiated as the negotiator, right. So all those 8 people get the certified letter from the judge saying show up Monday, and so it's about Thursday when this goes down. So they've been notified they have to show up at Monday and every day for the next 28 days at 9:30 in the morning, and they can't leave until 8 at night. And they have to negotiate, right? And there is a negotiator that has been deemed okay by the judge, right? Me. He didn't even meet me. He just gave the office the authority to get a negotiator, which they did. They picked me. So I go, next after that happened, I said, okay, here's a conference room. I want you guys to get the janitor in here and take everything out. That beautiful mahogany boardroom table, those swivelly, comfy chairs, everything out. Carpet out. The drapes out, the couches out, everything out. I want it down to concrete wall, a floor, and the walls. Some of it's that mahogany; they can't sit on it, but that's it. Right? And over here, I want a nice, Eastern rug. And I want a big leather chair, and I want a table here with all this beautiful nashi stuff and cream cheese and lox and bagels and donuts, and over here the cappuccino machine. And lawyers, guys who were trying to enamor me, had taken me to titty bars, and I had talked to 3 or 4 of the titty girls who were being titty dancers so they could go to law school. This was like a titty bar for lawyers. I found the 2 smartest titty dancer girls, and I said, I'm going to hire you guys for 20 days, $3,000 straight up, right? Give you 1,000 down, 2,000 and do that, and I'll give you $100 every day. I'll give you, everyone gets a Benjamin every day, and I said that to my secretary, and after you get $100 every day, girls, lawyer girls, you get $200 every day, 2 Benjamins every day, and so we went to work, and so I got them to go to the Goodwill or the junkyard and get the crappiest folding chairs. And, we got TV dinner tables, right, that fell apart. And there was a little bar. We took all the booze and everything out. And I would have the janitor go scoop up dirty water from the parking lot and put it there. That's what those people were supposed to drink. And I got these cups. And if you put water in it and picked it, and thin plastic cups, and pick it up, it would crack on the side and the water would go all over you. You could never get the water in your mouth, right? And so the rich people walk in on Monday, and they have been in this office, they've been in this conference room, and they're expecting, the boardroom treatment. And the folding chairs were metal, had didn't even have padding, and I had them screwed to the floor so they couldn't be moved because I did that because they were so crappy. If you just put them on the concrete floor, they would split in half and the people would fall on the floor. But by drilling them into the concrete floor, you couldn't move them, you couldn't do anything, but at least they wouldn't fall apart and people wouldn't fall down and they could be. Anyway, so they walk in and they're like, and so it was just like that scene from the first Men in Black where people is being tested and everyone gets a thing that they have, written test, and they have no table, and he the cover table, and it's there. It's kind of like that, and I'm there, and I had the security people, the IT guys, put in little TV cameras in the ceiling that pointed exactly right at each one of those chairs, right? And I had them put up a big TV screen, big one, like 10 feet by 10 feet. I could just hit a button on the computer and whatever camera I chose, and boom, put that face right up on the screen. Right? And my little laptop had like little screens of all those cameras, and I could just hit the screen and it was recording everything, anything, but I could pick that moment and put it over. And so if I wanted to replay it, I could just hit it and it would replay it. So I would just push these people's button all day long until they screamed and yelled and jumped up, and I just recorded it. And every time we were talking about something and they were being, ornery, I would just hit that button and play that picture of them being stupid and screaming and acting like a child. Just do it over and over and over and over and over. So we had 28 days. I got them to sign the contract in 10. And so my legend was born. And those 3 girls, I took them out every night. I had this friend who I helped build a cocktail bar in Hollywood, just above Miami. And it was his dad had a parking lot, died, left it to his son, and his son wanted to have a nightclub, but he couldn't because of all of the corruption and the building department and all the things he'd have to do. He'd have to turn that into a bar. He'd have to spend like $20 million. So I built all these nightclubs, and so he said, "What should I do?" I said, "Not a problem. I mean, you got this little cabin over here. That's a toilet. You have water. You have a drain. You have electricity, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to look in the internet and find a place that has comes in and will plant a gigantic palm tree, right? 20 foot tall with all the palms and everything. And we're going to build a box there. No big deal. You don't need to build a permit for that, right? And we're going to fill it with sand, right? And we're going to first take all of these, palms and put them in big buckets and place them on the parking lot. And then we're going to fill that bucket, up halfway with sand. And then we're going to build a nice little decky kind of seat around the palm tree and have little tables everywhere and chairs everywhere. And we're going to have a little staging area. And I know all these totally tweaker bands, loser bands, but they're pretty good musicians, but they're alcoholics and drug addicts, and but they play pretty good. And there's this one guy that he was trying to he was quasi my friend, but he was like had rageaholic, right? So anyway, so I helped them. So they had these house bands of totally drunk, tweaked out people. And if you go back on my YouTube channel and look, like a few years back, you'll see videos from that. You'll see the 3 lawyer girls, right? And so I had this bar that I could bring people to. It wasn't a bar. It was just a parking lot that had sand in it and no cars. And people would step up and walk around on the sand. And so there were bathrooms there, right? And in front of that, we had a bar, right? That was totally, you could pick it up and walk away with it. Nothing was nailed down, right? You could take everything away, right? So we did that. And this guy who wanted to make the thing, he had a titty bar that I, relit for him. So he asked me to do all these things, these, So I've been trying to make a club, a real, like not a titty bar, but a club, and then I want to do it here, and the building department and the corruption is just. So we did that, and it was a raving success. And how I got it so that the corrupt building department wouldn't get on their case. Went over there and talked to the guys and said, listen, blah, 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 blah. And I just kept saying, you guys are the greatest. You're the best. And this is going to be like your clubhouse. You can come and free drinks and music and bring people. And it's a gigantic, not a gigantic, but, 200-car parking lot, right? But nobody's parking there. There was, no real cash flows. Anyway, so there's that nightclub. All the people in that scene. Is that you, Gator? How you doing, buddy? It's Al. Always good.
How you been?
I'm breathing.
You what?
I'm breathing.
Oh yeah. Me too, barely.
Right, exactly. Every morning I kind of wake up and my eyes don't open and I'm not breathing and I go, am I dead? And then I fart. And I go, yep, I'm gonna wait.
We woke up to another bear this morning.
Yes,
He was
they
prowling around a lot.
well, I live kind of out there.
That's where they all go to, into my backyard up to yours.
And
They're right there close.
I have, because I can't leave anything
Oh yeah.
anywhere.
They're worse this year than they've ever
Right.
been.
So they know I have not. They walked through my place like I was on the phone. Right? I was talking to somebody. Just walk right.
Yeah, they're not scared. Lights come on the cameras.
Right.
They just look at
Yeah,
it.
like hi.
Sometimes they don't even look
Hi,
at it.
right.
But one
I
guy
was
in
sitting there. And it just walked by me. Didn't like growl or want anything. Just going do.
He's like, I was here first.
Yes, right. You're okay.
One got in the chicken pen a few weeks ago. He ripped all the sides down and
Right.
climbed in and got one. Climbed back up the other side with one in his mouth. So I think this was the same one last night. Same size anyway.
So what's the state doing about it?
This one's bringing him here.
What?
Yeah, they're bringing him here. I don't know if you've seen this one. They're bringing him here from Gatlinburg. They've been bringing him for a while.
So, but that they.
There's one last night.
How many pounds do you think that is?
That one's probably 200.
Yeah.
Not too big. But,
Isn't there a big one?
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one who walked by me. Like,
Really?
yes, like, dude. And I was on the phone. I said, "Hold on a second. Hey, get out of here!" And he just kind of looked at me. And if he could have waved, he would have. He just kept going.
They cracked me up.
Yep.
That's my front yard.
Holy moly! Is that the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably 650.
Yeah.
That's a big bear.
So do not.
Just don't mess with him.
Not only that, but I mean, I do not have food there.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, you can't.
right.
Well, this one last night, been there twice. Last night he came, went around the house a couple times, left, come back again, come back up this side of the hill. He was roaming everywhere last night. But we didn't. The trash man came here today, so he didn't have no trash to get into.
So the state is bringing them here. Can we complain about that?
No, they don't care.
So they're doing that because that neck of the woods where they're getting them and bringing here, that's where a lot of rich people are complaining. And they're bringing
Pretty
them
much.
here. Right. And so
Well,
we're expendable.
That's going to change around here soon.
Oh, it
As
already
quick as
has.
we're building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already
This is, Hoagie used to be the
the garbage pail.
Yeah. But you know what? Everything's getting ready to change. Everything comes full circle.
Oh yes, but see, this ain't Gatlinburg.
Yeah, I know.
To try to build that here, I mean, there's no way to build roads here. It's ridiculous. They're never going to widen 321.
Shoot, they did about 20 years ago. I remember when they replaced that bridge.
Right.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they had everybody detouring all the way around.
All the way
Mountain
around.
City,
Yes. Right.
When all you had to do was go right here.
Right. Right.
I didn't know that back then.
Right.
I never knew that little road was there.
Oh,
I had to stop. Some guy was walking the road, and I'm like, I know there's a better way around.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, go to that road right there.
Right.
It was like 50 feet away.
Right.
I'm like, oh, I know where it comes out at.
Yes. On the other side over there.
Yeah.
Yes. But when I first got here, when I was young and I could walk, I kind of hiked this whole neck of the woods.
Yeah, we used to hike a lot. I can't right now.
Right.
I got
And,
surgery next week.
yeah. So I just had to say no. So I've changed my whole life. So I live at Mandel. I am living like a monk here. So I live like basically on $800 a month.
Really?
And about 400 I have to pay out for electric and this and that.
Yeah.
But I do it okay. It's just
Hey.
I don't buy any.
You want to be simple?
Right.
You want to live
Yeah,
simple?
that's
You'll
what-
be happy.
Yes, that's what
We
I do.
learned that a long time ago.
Yep.
That's why I try. I know it don't look simple around my house.
Right.
We live simple because that's the way I believe.
Yeah. But
I've already been there, done that.
yeah, me too. So,
I don't have to prove anything to anybody.
right, me too. Did it, and not only did it done it, that's when I weighed almost 500 pounds.
Yeah, I remember. I never saw you that way.
Right. I was
I might have saw you, didn't know you.
right,
So, I
exactly.
don't know how many years ago.
Because I'm half the guy I was.
Yeah. I'm hoping when you get.
Well, you're doing better. You are. You're doing good.
I'm overweight. Just
You know how
I'll
I.
get my knee rebuilt next week.
So being that heavy, I screwed every joint in my body. So getting way down to almost 190, even though there's no cartilage on
I'd
anything.
feel like Superman if I was one day.
You know how I don't eat anything. I wake up, I don't eat anything. I keep pushing it out, until then I eat something. That's my one meal.
Yeah.
And then after 5 o'clock, I eat nothing. I don't eat anything before I
Well,
go to bed.
that's when I get hungry.
I know.
5 o'clock, I get
Yes,
starving.
I
I can
know.
go all day long. 5 o'clock, I want to eat the whole house.
Right. So you eat something more in the middle of the day, and because it's just it's your tummy and the rest and your brain. It's all in your brain,
Oh yeah.
and so
Well, I can tell when I don't eat
right,
because I get that weird feeling. It ain't because the sugar's up or
right,
down. It's just my body's saying, "Hey, you need to feed."
and it's what you feed it too. So
Yeah.
I don't get any cookies or any of that. Right.
I wish my wife would do that.
Right.
That's all she does, bring sweets in the house. I'm a diabetic too.
I know. But it's more the money. I just so I try to just buy food that is good for me.
What you driving now?
Oh,
you were in the truck last time. I saw you.
yes. I have a little Nissan Whale, soccer mom van.
Oh, okay.
You know the guy who has cars just up the road there? He's just up there.
Up this road.
No. 321 going towards Boone.
I'm trying to think. Is he in Boone?
No. He's
Valley
right.
Crest?
He's like 2 miles from your house. You're on 321.
Oh yeah. Well, on the long strip.
Right. And there's
Danny
whatever.
something. I can't remember. his
Nice
name.
guy. So I got it for nothing. I had to put that's why I have no money right now.
I can imagine.
I put $1,200, new tires, new brakes, new front end. So it's running pretty good. So it gets me to the doctors, gets me to Mountain
That's
City.
all that matters.
Yes, I can do that. But
What's the matter?
she wants you.
She said, "Mommy." She don't call for daddy.
No, mommy. Yeah,
That's a mommy's girl.
she's getting older.
Yeah.
So since Little Milligan closed, what happened? Where's she
She's
go?
in Hampton now.
It's such a sad thing.
Well, when they make it, Carter County makes up their mind. They do too many shady things anyway. They're
Well, that's what it
always
is.
being shady.
That place is going to be sold to some rich guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
Guarantee
community,
that.
because that would make a
Guarantee
great
that.
community center, and they
Well, that's what they keep promising, but it ain't gonna happen.
no.
Let me go over and eat. I'll talk to you later, man. Good seeing you again.
And you're looking good.
Thank you. I'll be a whole lot better in about. Well, they say I can't drive for 6 weeks after Tuesdays.
Right.
I figure 3 weeks max.
Right. Well,
I'm
yes.
whatever they say.
Right. Well, what day are you gonna have it?
Tuesday.
Pray for you.
On my birthday. It's my birthday present.
I'll put you on my prayer list.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. Nice story. Most people are too stupid to work things up themselves. That's why quite funny. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sick of it. Yep. The right negotiator. So long story short, I had a great time. I had my own staff. I mean, after that, in that Miami neck of the woods was my place I worked. There's so many stupid rich people doing things like that. And so I just basically, and I didn't, those girls would call me, hey, we have some, and we would do it outside of the really smart one girl. She said, screw it to her boss, rented, a nice little teeny office kind of downtown Miami. And, she was, so I worked for other lawyers too. And, she wasn't quite a lawyer. She worked for other lawyers too. So we made a great little team. She got her cut. I got my cut. We were a great little team. And so if you go back 2 or 3 years on my shows, and I tell everyone, go look at all my past shows. There's some really great ones. And that's come up because I got. Every time I would see a lawyer, they would give me a laptop with everything I needed to know because they didn't want me in their system. They wanted me to stand alone, have nothing to do with them except fix their problem. And so I have a bunch of laptops and cell phones like this one. This was given to me years ago, and now it doesn't work as a phone, but it's great as a camera and great getting on the internet and that kind of stuff. So I'm not buying any new stuff. My phone is like the one I call out on is like Walmart's $15 phone that I bought 4 years ago, and they keep saying you need a new phone, you need a new operating system. Really. So anyway, that's the story. I gotta go. I'm gonna see my doctor. What time's it now? Yeah, I gotta go. This is my time. So end stream. Catch you later.